How's it going, everyone? This is Takai, and today I want to share with you guys 5 tips that will make you a more professional editor. So the first thing that we're going to go over is master effects. Instead of copying and pasting effects to all of the cuts in your video, an easy alternative would be to go up to the effects control tab and click on master. And when you apply your effects onto this tab, it will apply the effect to every single cut of the same clip, which saves you a lot of time, and it makes it so you don't have to copy and paste every single effect onto every single little cut. And this is really useful when working with interview footage or YouTube videos, since you're very likely working with the same clip and having all those cuts spread out throughout the video. You don't have to take the time to copy and paste each individual one. This will make it so you can do it all in one go. And if you need to make further adjustments on one of the individual cuts, you can go back to the clips tab and you can apply a lumetri effect on there and make slight adjustments from there. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to go over is organize your footage, which is a very mundane thing and probably something that's very obvious, but it's extremely important and it saves you a lot of time. And it's really easy to want to just throw all of your footage into the project bin and work off of that. But the problem here is that it's hard to find things in clutter, and it's going to be more stressful to deal with. I would always make the excuse of, oh, it's an organized mess, I know exactly where everything is. But the problem is, if you were to not work on this video and come back to it later on in the future, the organized clutter isn't going to feel so organized anymore, and you're going to be spending a lot of time trying to find things, which leads you to taking longer to make your videos. So I've become very meticulous about how I organize my files, because I want to be able to come back to a project at any time and know exactly where to find everything at a moment's notice. So I create bins for each camera I use, all of my music, sound effects, sequences, S sequences, everything. And especially when you're working on a big project, the files are going to be piling up very quickly, which makes organization even more important. If you're doing something really small, it doesn't matter as much, but when you start working on things that are dragged out for a long period of time, maybe you're working on it for a few months and you're working with all these different files, it becomes really important to stay on top of your organization. There was one time where I had to go to a client's office and edit his video with him side by side, and he was pretty unimpressed with how unorganized all my files were. So whenever he wanted to make a change, it would take me about 5 minutes to figure out where certain files were, and trust me, it made me look really amateur. Number 3, EQ music when talent is talking. When you're editing a video with dialogue and music in it, it's important that the voice pops as much as possible so that the focus is on the speaker and not the music. And most commonly, you would just lower the music so that you can hear the speaker, but there's another step that you can do to help enhance the voice even more. When I lower the music, I make a cut just a little bit after the keyframe starts lowering the volume. Then I add a parametric equalizer to the part of the song that's underneath the voice. I go up to the effect and click on edit parameters, and you're going to click on the LP button and turn off the H button. Then you're going to take the LP tab and bring it to the left, and I would bring it roughly around where the 4 is. A person's voice is typically going to fall in the 4 to H range, so what you're doing is you're lowering the higher frequencies of the music so that it doesn't overlap with the higher frequencies of the voice. The song is going to sound like you're listening to it through a wall, but it makes it sound more like background music and brings more attention to the voice without actually taking too much away from the song. How much you decide to adjust it is really just personal preference, but I usually just lower it enough to where it's still very audible but not distracting. Then I just add a cross dissolve to the cut so that it has a smooth transition. Number 4 is syncing audio files fast. Syncing audio is a big pain in the ass, and it takes a really long time to go through the files individually and look for the slate and listen to the slate, and you can honestly kill a lot of time by manually going through it. So what I personally do to speed it up is I go to my keyboard shortcuts and I look for the synchronize option and I create a keyboard shortcut for it. Me personally, I set it to be Command 1. It's really up to you though. After that, I highlight both the audio file and the video file that are supposed to go together, press Command 1, and it should sync perfectly fine. Okay, so really quick, one thing that I forgot to mention is there will be times where what I just said won't work. So the next solution for it would be to go up to synchronize. On this track channel menu, you would just change it to either 2 or mixed down. Either one of those should work. Then go back to the keyboard shortcuts and find the effect link and set another shortcut for it. I personally use Command L. So when we click on the files that we just linked, you'll notice that when you click on it, it only highlights one file instead of both. And this is a really easy way to accidentally get the files out of sync. So what you're gonna do is you're going to highlight both of them, click Command L, and it'll link them together so you don't have to worry about accidentally moving it out of sync, and then just delete the in-camera audio. And because they're linked together, it'll be treated as one. It'll make it a lot more easier to work with. Number 5, warp stabilize sped up footage. Warp stabilizer can't be used on footage that has speed effects on it. So how you would fix that is you highlight the clip, right click it, and select nest sequence. So this places the clip into its very own sequence that's editable on your main timeline. So you would just place the warp stabilizer effect onto the nest sequence on your main timeline, and you'll be able to warp stabilize it to your heart's content.